All right, let's talk about data-driven scaling and optimization in 2025. I've been talking about meta ads optimization since I think, if I'm not mistaken, I started talking about it in 2021. So in the past 3 years, really thanks to my clients for their trust and of course, all the opportunities to work on very interesting campaigns. And along the way, we have evolved and I have evolved, my idea and my understanding towards meta ads optimization. And in 2025, I believe it's actually a lot more important than any time in the past that you have to understand meta ads optimization because, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the strategy, first, you should not and you must not run meta ads without a strategy. And because you have a strategy, it's a lot more important for you to understand how to interpret the data and make informed decision. I mean, gone were the days where we make decision based on gut feeling. I still see, to be frank, I still see a lot of advertisers that came to me and say that, I'm not sure what it's working and, I'm just dumping money as long as I feel that it's okay and all. But when the moment we dive into the numbers and all that, it turns out they are not profitable. So understanding the number is really important. That's why it all starts from knowing what kind of data we should be looking into and really understand the concept of meta ads optimization. So I want to, again, reiterate the idea of, meta ads optimization. If this is something that is totally new to you, I would like to introduce you meta ads optimization as a tool that you can really build a stabilized campaign and to know what to do. Like the other day, one of my meta ads optimization client, I mean, when I work with my clients, we meet on a weekly basis where, week on week, we look at the numbers and we interpret the data. The whole idea here is first, I'll be serving as, as a partner. It's more like an idea spalling partner where I will be giving you some questions to think about. And basically for you to ponder whether should you push the budget, should you take a step back, and along the way, it helps you to shape your understanding and and your knowledge and your experience towards optimizing the campaign yourself. A lot of my clients, after working together for a few months, they already can interpret the data themselves and they can make decisions based on what they do. And at that point of time, our relationship or our partnership evolved into another level whereby I'll be talking about a lot more about bigger idea about, like stuff like that. But anyway, if you're new to meta ads optimization, let me introduce to the idea on what is a meta ads optimization. In my opinion, meta ads optimization is a process of identifying opportunities. The way I say it's opportunities is because, like whether you have a non-performing ad creative or you have a non-performing customer journey, all these are opportunities that we can exploit and we can capitalize on to take the campaign one step further towards optimization. So we first, from understanding how to identify opportunities, which is, it's all based on numbers. It's all data. We have to look into the numbers and to find out what's not working. And those are opportunities. And based on all these opportunities, we build hypothesis whereby, let's say, for example, if we have a low CTR, then the hypothesis would be, if I were able to improve the CTR, that means I'll be able to improve the overall conversion. So hypotheses start from there. So once we build the hypothesis, the next step is about proving them right or wrong. So the whole idea here is you have to optimize one variable at a time. And when we talk about optimization opportunities, it can be on the ad and off the ad. Now, often than not, a lot of people, whenever they have a failed campaign or non-performing campaign, the first thing they will blame is the ad. They'll always say that it must be the ad problem. Let's create a new one. It must be the ad creative or ad audience targeting problem. Let's reset the whole thing and see how it goes coming from there and all. I mean, in my opinion, I would say a campaign that is performing and non-performing is the same. I would say the ad itself or the campaign itself only play about 40 to 50% of the role, right? You see, here's the thing. People don't buy on the ad itself, right? They see the ad, they click on it, they will have to move to the next step, which is, they either go to your e-commerce website or they actually sign up as a lead. It's either they would actually continue checking out and purchase, or they will have to come and talk to you as a lead. You convert them, in a Zoom call or whatever. These are all the customer journey. And there are a lot of things in place where you can actually optimize. It could be the landing page problem. It could be the add to cart checkout process. It could be your lead conversion, so-called process that is not optimized, whereby maybe your team members are not contacting your leads often enough, or the frequency is not good enough to really exploit all the possibilities there. There are a lot of things there. That's why the optimization opportunities can be everywhere. So we need to be able to open up our mind and look at it from various angles, whereby it's not just the ad. Okay. And another thing I want to emphasize here is optimization is not equal to scaling. And in fact, right, scaling an under-optimized campaign is a dangerous thing. That's why I want to put it here, that we should not and we must not scale an under-optimized campaign. Now, before that, let's talk about scaling. Scaling means when you have a campaign that is performing, you're comfortable with the cost per result, you're comfortable with the ROAS that you're getting, or your ROI that you're getting from this one consistently for a week or two, and you feel that it's time that we want to spend more money and make more money. And like I say, do not scale an under-optimized campaign. So basically, before we scale a campaign, we start looking at all the other variables and all that. But basically, scaling is about increasing the ad budget. And let's say, for example, if you're spending $100 a day and you're making $1,000, that's 10x. Awesome. Now, our hypothesis here would be, if I spend like $150, would I be able to make $1,500 from there? So that's the hypothesis, and we have to prove things one step at a time. So the next question that we'll be asking yourself would be, when to scale? All right. So the question to answer, the way to answer this question is actually very straightforward, which I talked about just now. First thing first, before we scale a campaign, first, we need to have at least 1 week proven data that the campaign is performing. Now, when I say performing, means you don't need to have the number yet. Before we dive into the numbers, I would ask you whether are you comfortable with the cost per result? Let's say if your cost per conversion is $10 and you're making $100 out of it, which is 10x. And out of these 10x that you're getting, deducting off all the costs, as in like your product costs, your management costs, and everything, are you profitable? So as long as you're profitable, then great. And consistently, it's been a week, then we will ask the next question, which is, have we optimized the campaign before we scale? Meaning, do we have a low performing ad in there? Meaning if your CTR is low, for example. So this is one of the example, right? So let's say this is a performing campaign, all right? It's doing well. And look at that. You are getting 10x ROAS, yet your CTR link click-through is 0.41%. What does that mean? CTR link click-through, we are actually targeting at 1%. So let's say if this is the situation, this is the data that we are seeing in the ads manager, and if we are able to, before we scale, if we are able to introduce new creative and we are able to bump the CTR click-through rate to 0.6 from 0.41, you know what? That's actually 46% increased in terms of the number of people who click. So assuming all the other variables remains the same, you are actually getting 46% more clicks with the same amount that you're spending. Do you think you can potentially get 46% more add to cart, 46% more, like initial checkout, 46% more purchases? So this is what I mean by, optimizing the campaign first before you scale. So this is the on-ad example. Now, let me give you another example. This is the off-ad example. So basically, from where we are seeing in an, let's say the campaign that we're talking at right just now, you spend $100 and you're making $1,000. Yes, again, when we dive into the number, we realize that, look, out of these 1,175 landing page view that you have gotten in the last 1 week, only 21 of them added to cart. That's about like, slightly about 2%, conversion from landing page view to add to cart, which is in fact not ideal. So if we are able to actually dive in and see that, okay, now let's fix the checkout process, maybe take off the login, take off the sign up and stuff, that just go straight and let them check out, or even optimize the whole the cart system and all that. There are certain cart system that allows instant checkout or, speedy checkout, which can actually cut off a lot of potential, like frictions. So if we are able to improve the number of add to cart from 21 to 95, which is whatever I'm showing you here are all based on real case studies. Just now, we bumped the CTR link click-through rate by 46%, real case study. Here, we bumped the, add to cart increased by 350%, real case study. So if we are able to bump this like this, we get 50% more add to cart. Do you think we can potentially get, let's be, pessimistic over here. If I get even 100% more purchases from here, that's a really, really big win for you already. That's why the whole idea here is we do not actually scale an under-optimized campaign because there will be a lot more opportunities that we can exploit. We don't really need to spend more money to make more money. But if we are able to exploit all these opportunities, then only we start scaling, you actually have a different number to look at. Trust me, that's the beauty of optimization. When you know what to look at and how to make decisions based on the numbers that you have at hand. So that's why we need to start from understanding the key meta ads metrics first to start, building an idea of how do we actually kind of build a visualization of the numbers so that we can actually start making decisions. Okay, now, so let's talk about some fundamental metrics over here. So when it comes to fundamental metrics, well, this is where we start looking at, we go into the ads manager. Let me actually bring you into the ads manager over here. So how do we start from here, basically? The fundamental metrics involve a few things here. I always like to see the results and cost per result, of course. And then I would see the reach and impressions. These are all the numbers that I like, the number that we spend. So these are the fundamental metrics. And then followed by the performance metrics, which is we have CTR, all, link click, CPM, and frequency. So how do we actually do this arrangement over here? So very simple. Okay, first, you come into your ads manager. Okay, and then after that, go for the performance metrics. That's where we start. So performance metric already give you what? Like the results, reach, impressions, cost per result, amount spent, and the end date. Okay, so in order to actually build on, we just need to click on this columns performance, and we go for customized columns. Okay, then we will build in the performance metrics over here. CTR, all, CTR link, CTR, CPM, and frequency. That's how we build this thing. Okay, so first CTR, okay, and then CPM and frequency. There you go. So you can actually save this as a preset, or you can actually just apply and you can start seeing all the numbers coming up, at the back of it. So CTR, all, CPM, frequency. So this is how we build on. So basically, this is how we start understanding the metrics. And let me walk you through a little bit over here. So when it comes to result, what does that mean? I mean, that is really the number of result that you're getting based on whatever optimization that you're optimizing for. So if it's purchase, it's 5. If it's add to cart, that is that, So basically, as we discussed earlier, we do not combine multiple optimization in one campaign. So if you have multiple optimization, break them into different campaign. So the number of reach is the people that you have reached, and the impressions is the number of times your ad has been shown to your audience. Cost per result is really the cost that you are paying to get one result, but that's not the real cost, because your real advertising cost is CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impression. Your cost per result is just an average cost per result. So it actually fluctuates. It's actually just the number of amount spent divided by the number of results that you get. So let's say, for example, it's totally possible by next week, if we get 10 results, means the cost per result will drop by half. But that's not definitive. Although we use that as a very important benchmark for us to monitor, but we always monitor the CPM, which is part of the performance metrics over here. So, okay, CTR all stands for the percentage of people who click on anything on the ad, including the like button. If you have a video, playing the video is counted as 1. And of course, the call to action button, part of it. But the CTR all combines everything, meaning everyone who clicks on anything on the ad itself. So the benchmark for this is 2%. Okay, and then for CTR link click-through rate, it's really the number of people, the percentage of people who click on your call to action button, and the benchmark is 1%. So 2%, 1%, 2% for all, 1% for link. And we don't beat ourselves if we are slightly lower than that. But then again, if we have a really low CTR, especially CTR link click-through rate, say for example, just now we saw 0.4, 0.3, that's really something that you have to work on. And usually it's about the ad creative. But of course, there are other possibilities where we would dive in and see whether it's actually because we spend a lot more money on some placement that are not converting. We could also do something about disabling the placement and stuff, that's another level of things. But I just want you to understand the fundamental and the key idea of it first. And of course, the CPM is the cost per thousand impression. This is the real cost that you're paying when you're running meta ads, and it fluctuates. Okay. I want to say fluctuates means what? Let's say, for example, Black Friday, when there are a lot more advertisers coming into the market, and it will push the CPM to come up high. So basically, if you have your CPM to come up high during peak season, you have two things you can do. It's either you retreat. If you do not need to compete against this type, let's say, for example, if you're a lead gen and, shopping events like Black Friday has got nothing to do with you, you can actually reduce the budget to actually shelter it through first. But if you are a e-commerce business, you know that this is the time that you have to make your buck. Well, understand the risk of higher CPM, but plan things ahead. Okay, so usually that's something that we cannot control, but we can actually make adjustment according to the situation that we are at. Okay, and the frequency is really the number of times your ads has been shown to your audience within a selected period of time. Say, for example, you can actually go by this month. I usually go by 7 days data. So if with 7 days and your frequency is less than 2, for top of funnel, that's really ideal. You have nothing to worry about. But if you have a frequency higher than 2 for a top of funnel campaign, then you have to worry about that. But for retargeting, we don't really tie that. For retargeting, we are aiming for 3 to 5 frequencies, especially for e-commerce. You need to have that kind of frequency to make an impact, to make sure that you actually make the most out of it. Okay, so this is how we actually understand the base data. Then we will be looking at the customer journey, which is the next important thing that every business must understand. There must be a customer journey for every one of your customers to transform from being a stranger into a customer or a client. Okay, so that customer journey is really something that you have to pay attention on, because that's where you can actually find other optimization opportunities. So for e-commerce, this is the customer journey that we usually look at. So once you have, like, let's say you reach X amount of people, frequency X amount or whatever. So usually the customer journey for your audience will be like this. First, they see your ad, they click on the link. Okay, so once they click the link, then a bunch of them will land on your landing page. Now, bear in mind, not all your link clicks lands on your landing page, because there will be some distraction happens in between. Your girlfriend called, your boss texted. You will definitely respond to that first, and you forgot about your intention. So we are aiming for 50% conversion from link click. When I say link click, means outbound clicks to a landing page view. So if you have a lower conversion from link click or outbound click to landing page view, that means, well, you probably have to look at your server loading time. Okay, so out of the number of landing page view that we get, we are aiming to get 20% of them to add something to cart. That's usually that. Okay, so basically 20% to add to cart, and out of add to cart, 20% initial checkout and 20% to purchase. This is just an illustration over here. You don't need really to really pin this to your board and say that I have to follow this, because I've seen a lot of clients that has low conversion from landing page view to add to cart, but because the conversion value is really high, as long as they are able to convert a portion of them into cart, it's already very significant. But then again, it is still an opportunity that we can exploit, or we can try to optimize to see whether we are able to improve the conversion from landing page view to add cart. That's already one of the optimization points that we can actually build on, you see? So that's what I mean by having a customer journey. Then when it comes to lead gen, we will have a different customer journey instead. So we would actually start from link click. Then we would actually go for landing page view if you're using a landing page lead gen. And aside from that, then if you are using lead form, then you go straight to the form, right? But if you have a landing page, then from landing page to the form. And usually we are looking at 20% from landing page to a lead. Okay, so once you become a lead, then we will call them, we will contact them by email, by phone, and blah, blah, blah. Usually about 20% of them are qualified, and out of these, 20% of them actually would become a client. So that's a simple illustration of your customer journey over here for lead gen. But I want you to take a moment off and start finding your numbers. So how do we find the numbers? So let me quickly go in. We are actually building on from whatever we have here. So customize columns again. Then after that, you go for click. So click, we have what? Link click, unique link click, outbound click. These are the 3 things that we will get. Link click, unique link click, outbound click. And then landing page view, okay? And then it's either you go for lead, if you are lead, otherwise you can actually go for add to cart, right? And for add to cart onwards, okay, you can actually, even for lead just now, okay, you can actually put in the cost per lead if you want, like we have total and the cost here. And for cart, we can actually go by, I want to know how many carts I've gotten and the value of the cart. So that gives you the number where I'm actually potentially making so much money, right? You would like to have that as well. And then, of course, initiate checkout. You probably want to get a value as well. And purchase, right? So, sorry, purchase, okay? So we go for purchase and we can go by value, we can go by cost per purchase, and we can go by the ROAS as well. So on the right sidebar, to make things very simple for you, lead, of course, we need to have the website lead and the meta lead, offline lead, we can check off. For add to cart, blah, 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 unless you are, like selling on a mobile app and website as well. Otherwise, we'll just check off everything so that we can only have one number to look at. Otherwise, you have way too many things. It's going to be very, very messy and confusing. So you can check all these off. Okay. Then let me do this real quick. So that's the ROAS. ROAS also, you can check off everything. Then you can save it. All right. So this is MAB 2025 metrics. I'm just adding that. So you want to do whatever you want to name it however you want it, so that as long as you get the idea. So you can always go back to this and come back to look at this. So this is where we look at the numbers. And since I don't have the number, I'm just going to go maximum so that we will have all the numbers coming in here. Like here, how many landing page view, how many of them turn into like leads, and how many of them added to cart, how many of them initiated checkout, and how many of them purchased. So how much cart value is there that you are leaving on the table? You probably want to do something to grab these people back because there's like 1,000 plus ringgit over there. So this is how you illustrate your customer journey so that you are able to see, for sure that where are we falling off? Is it at the website? Is it on the ad level? Is it on the checkout process? That allows you to make informed decision. And of course, this is what we do, right? When I work on optimization with my client on a weekly basis. But as you are actually just getting started, it's totally all right to feel overwhelmed. But let me, move on. Let me give you a few more ideas about optimization by answering some questions so that you get a better understanding or better idea out of this. So based on all the key metrics that we talk about, started from the fundamental metrics, which actually started from the results, the reach, impressions, cost per result, amount spent, and of course, the performance metrics such as CTR link click, CPM, and frequency. These are all the things that will be sitting there. And what we usually do is we do a weekly analysis instead of daily. You see, a lot of people actually make daily decision because they feel that, after 2 days not getting money out of what they spend, it's not good. But in my opinion, as long as the CTR and CPM are pretty stable, it could be just bad days. You see, every day your ad reach different people, but as long as all the numbers actually in the campaign itself and like CTR, CPM and all that remain stable, we don't usually make decision based on daily data. That's something that we have to try to avoid. But I totally understand. As we are spending our own money running ads, right? We have a lot of anxiety in there. That's the reason why we need to have all these metrics to guide our decision making. So here's what I think. Instead of focus on how much you need to make based on what we actually spend on a daily basis, zoom out to the weekly data, as in like set weekly target. Say, I need to make how much, because you see, this is totally normal that you will have some good days, bad days, but eventually on a weekly basis, you have better idea about what works and what doesn't, and pay attention to what happened in the society as well, because there's another thing that we cannot control at all, which is the behavior shift. Like, for example, during Black Friday, you know that everybody will be crazy buying things. There will be lesser people, interested in submitting their information as a lead. So it's totally normal that we have lower cost per lead, lower number of leads, higher cost per lead. But that doesn't mean that your audience is not interested or your ad is not performing anymore. You have to understand what really happens to whatever situations that you are facing right now. That's why when it comes to certain scenario, like for example, the other day I just spoke to a client where, like I think I gave this example earlier. If you want to make $100,000 a year, Say, for example, you need to spend $10,000 on ads, for example. You don't really need to spend $1,000 every month. You can actually spend $2,000 on certain months that, historically makes you more money, and other months that historically makes you lesser money, you can spend lesser in there. It's totally okay to be flexible when it comes to budget allocation, but a lot of people just don't have the data to support them. That's why I say this is the time after you understand this, you need to start gathering all this data. Like a lot of my clients who work together with me for a year, now it's a lot easier for us to make decisions because we know that last year, this time is not good. Let's not spend so much money now and reserve the money, next month or 2 months later, where historically we make more money. So these are all the things that you have to start gathering to help you make better decisions moving forward. Remember, analyzing doesn't actually hurt you, but it gives you a lot more confident in making the decision that you want. And of course, understand your customer journey. I gave you the illustration just now. Whether you're an e-commerce business, these are all the metrics that you have to gather. And whether you're in lead gen business, these are all the questions, all the metrics you have to gather. Always pay attention to the data. And that's why we always do weekly. So on a weekly basis, let's get back to this, right? If you actually, let's say if I go by maximum, I can't do weekly. I think I just do monthly, for example, so that, you can do weekly if you want. So basically, you'll be able to see like here, like what is the cost per lead? Like we started at 3, then eventually cost per lead started to get high. What is the problem over here? Why the cost per lead started to get high? And then we started to look at some other things over here. It could be because of the landing page dropping. It could be because of the CPM increasing. This is how we make decision on the weekly data on a weekly basis, because that would actually avoid making wrong decisions, especially if you see the CTR and everything is actually that high. You know that it's not the ad problem. It's never the ad problem. It's just for this week that has lower results coming in, lower leads coming in. I think it's simply because the week itself, people are just not interested. So you don't beat yourself up for a week like that. And then you have to assure yourself that, look, historically, this has been working well. Here's what I would like to always emphasize. If an ad has been performing well for weeks or even months, it will not suddenly turn sour. It must be something that we can fix or something that we can identify as a reason why this ad is not working or otherwise, and we make informed decision based on the data, not by simply based on gut feeling and what you feel. Okay, so that's what I would like to quickly get back to this. So basically, we'll be answering a few questions such as how to scale meta ads. I just want to give you the concept and the idea on how to answer these questions, and one step at a time, the thinking process. And see, when it comes to meta ads optimization, it's really about the thought process that guides us. And it always guides us by, first, we don't want to make decision based on daily. We want to make decision based on weekly data, even monthly data, or even yearly data. So basically, this is how we guide ourselves. And when it comes to scaling meta ads, I want you to actually look at a few things. Okay, first, when it comes to scaling meta ads and how to scale that, first, I would like to introduce you to the vertical scaling, meaning we scale up. Okay, so vertical scaling means we will add budget on the same ad set. So let's say, for example, this ad set is performing well and you are spending $100 a day and it's getting you $1,000 a day. The first way to scale is to scale up on the exact same ad set. So a lot of people would say, oh, what about I actually just duplicate it into another ad set and, like add more budget in it? Nothing wrong about it, nothing wrong, but it doesn't carry the old data. The moment you start a new campaign or a new ad set, new learning starts. If you want to carry on preserving whatever learning that has been gathered in the same ad set, we increase the budget in that. But we don't want to do until we break up, or so-called we shake up the learning. So we add not more than 30% each time. Usually we hold it at 30%, especially if you're already spending like $50 and above, we hold it at like 30% each time. So if you're spending $100 a day, we scale to 130. Okay, so 130, we try to monitor a few things for at least 3 days. But ideally, I would like to control for a 7 days data. So we scale 30%, okay? Then we monitor the cost per result, CPM, CTR for 7 days. So what would happen? So if everything remains the same, everything should be gradually going up. But if it doesn't, say if we increase the budget by 30%, but the result dropped by 30%, so what could go wrong? So we need to find out, is it because of the CPM? Yes, it happens when you are scaling CPM, remember, is something that we cannot control. It could be because of the market condition, or it could be because of, you're really spending to a throttle or ceiling already, whereby the moment you increase the budget, Meta will only increase the frequency instead of reaching more people. So, and with that case, we would actually try to do a little bit more exclusion, basically try to push those people who have interacted with the ad from seeing the ad again. So basically, you can actually watch back the previous module for the tutorial on how to do that. And then after that, we try to stabilize the CPM, but there is situation where the CPM would actually keep coming up because of the market condition, because of the competition, because of the cost really is coming up. So yeah, if it's really shaking up, then we probably have to do something. But basically, this is really something that we will have to monitor. And of course, the other thing is the click-through rate. When I say CTR means the CTR link click, we would like to maintain a consistent one. So if, for example, if you increase the budget and CPM increase, CTR drop, these are all the bad signs. Okay, usually you are probably reaching an ad ceiling, a budget ceiling. So usually that's what we do, right? We would actually keep scaling. Let's say if I start from $50, for example, 50, I'll push it to 65. Okay, and then after that, I'll push it to 80, and I'll push it to 110 or something like that. I keep pushing until it hits a ceiling, then I will actually scale back. So let's say if I hit 110 and everything breaks, the CPM breaks, the CTR breaks, and I will scale back to 80 and see whether it stabilizes. So if it stabilizes, that means we are probably reaching a budget ceiling. And if you want to keep pushing further, we have to go for horizontal scaling, which is, okay, we can still continue adding budget to the same ad set, but when we want to do horizontal, we actually duplicate another ad set with additional budget. Say, for example, I'm already reaching 80 and I want to spend $50 because my target is to spend 130. Fine. I would duplicate the existing ad set into a new one and I put $50 in there. So the original one will still contain 80 and the new one will have 50. So that will make you 130. And that is how we scale horizontally. So when it comes to scaling horizontally, we usually do not just, yes, it's a common practice that we just duplicate the exact same thing if our exclusion is done right, everything is perfect. But there is also some situation where we actually would use some attributes to scale horizontally. Like for example, instead of just keeping it there, I would actually probably just do another one, like where maybe I would figure out, like for example, I would zoom into specific location. For example, if I know that, let's say, if I know that certain state is doing so much better, I may actually break out another ad set focusing on that state. If I know certain gender works better or certain age group works better, say like 35 to 44 seems to be performing so much better, let's zoom in. If I know that, not just here, we can actually go by placement. If I know that, IG stories and Reels seems to be performing so much better, I could actually be able to put more money in those as well by splitting up another ad set with a specific budget for that specific attributes like age, gender, location, placement, and stuff. So this is how we do scaling. But these are all the concepts, like I say, there might be a lot more different so-called situations that we need to look into, such as really, I can't say this enough. You need to pay attention to whatever society, whatever events that is affecting the user behavior, that would actually affect the performance as well. Okay, so that's how we scale. And some people will ask me, how do I reduce CPM? Because for some reason, until today, I still get questions from people that concerns about CPM. They're saying that my CPM constantly is high and how am I supposed to bring it down? Here's one way I want you to think about, okay? When it comes to high CPM may mean you're getting high quality audience. Basically, here's what I think. My question to you is, if you have high CPM, are you getting results? Are you satisfied with the cost per result? Are you satisfied with the ROAS and everything coming in? If you are, then high CPM may not be the problem, because I have a lot of clients who are having high CPM, having high ROAS and everything as well. Why? Because it's really targeting the right audience for them. So that's something that you probably want to look into. So if you really say that, oh, it's not, and I want to really try to bring the CPM down because it's hurting me and stuff, then okay, now we can actually test different objective. That's the easiest way. Or you can actually try test different optimization. if we are assuming that everything is still happening at the ad side, which is, yes, it is, because CPM is usually at the ad side. So if you really want to try to bring the CPM down, it's either you try different objective or you try different optimization. I forgot to put that in. That could make a difference. Like I think I gave the example, instead of going for purchase, optimizing for add to cart may get you different result. Definitely lower CPM, most probably. And who knows, like for some of my clients who are actually selling on e-commerce marketplace like Shopee, Lazada, at the right time, when they optimize for, add to cart, it worked really, really so much better compared to purchase. So that's something that you can definitely try. But definitely, I wouldn't say, yeah, of course, if you are targeting zoom in to specific audiences, you can actually try to expand it by going broad. Remember, we talked about that just now. Your ad will be your best audience targeting tool. If your ad is optimized with the right combination and good CTR, you should consider letting it go broad to see whether we are able to get something out of it. And of course, like I say, I still hold on to my word where high CPM may mean high quality audience. So if the CPM is high and you are pretty comfortable with the cost per result, how do we optimize it further? Try to optimize the customer journey instead. It's really something that we can actually try to look into. Yeah, so this is how I would say some approaches. You see, whatever I'm sharing with you is really the thought process. It's really the logic that goes behind it. We are building hypothesis and we need to prove it right or wrong. You see, all these questions has to be answered by implementation, and the numbers will tell us whether are we doing the right thing or not. So that's how things work, right? And of course, some of the questions will be, how do we increase the ROAS? Basically, definitely, in order to increase ROAS, you need to have a very clear picture about your customer journey. When you draw it out, you have a very clear picture. Do we have a very good number of conversion coming from landing page view to add to cart? Otherwise, let's fix that. Okay, how many, and then we are only converting 5% of those people who added to cart, then definitely there must be something wrong with your checkout process. Remember, okay, increasing ROAS is not just the responsibility of the ad itself or the campaign itself or the audience targeting itself. There are so many things, especially when it comes to e-commerce, so many things that we can optimize. This is really about implementing and understanding and tweaking one thing at a time. Okay, remember the key here is fix one variable at a time. The reason why I would like to emphasize this once again, it is because when you are testing multiple variables at a time, you wouldn't know which one is performing and which one is not. And that would actually hinder you from making the right decision whether to carry on with the whatever variable A tweak or variable B tweak. So it's really important to be patient when it comes to optimization. You cannot rush into things, but it's totally possible to have a stabilized campaign. So basically, optimization opportunities can be on ad and off ad. Okay, so to recap a little bit about the right mindset of meta ads optimization, basically a few things. Okay, because my client asked me, is it possible to have a stabilized campaign? Because every week we seems to be needing to tweak certain things here and there. I would say optimization may not happen daily, but it may happen weekly. You see, you may have good days, bad days, but most of the time, when we have an optimized campaign, you should see identical, similar numbers coming in on a weekly basis, usually. But if it's being shaken up, let's say, like you have one good week, bad week, bad week, that could be a pattern as well. You get what I mean? I've got clients like that. Really, it's always alternate. One good week, 14x ROAS, one bad week, 5x ROAS. And then the next week, 15x ROAS, and the following week, 4x ROAS. So in that case, instead of focusing on weekly, let's focus on monthly. So average out, then we realize, every month we got 8 to 9x ROAS. Are you happy about that? Yes, we are comfortable. So that's where we reach optimization. So remember, there must be some pattern that you can optimize. But it's really about looking at the right numbers. You need to zoom in to zoom out. You need to zoom out to zoom in. That's how the whole thing works. So remember, optimize one variable at a time and make yearly plan. Like I mentioned just now, I can't say this enough. When it comes to optimization, everything has to be guided by a plan. When you're implementing a meta ad strategy, it is a strategy and a plan that is guiding your advertising activities. And all these things has to be guided by a goal, a plan, Okay, so ask yourself this question since we're actually at the verge of like this is the year end now as I'm making this video. But basically, when you're running ad, I want you to have a goal. How much you want to make per year? Say, let's say last year you make 100,000. This year you want to make 200,000. So what was the ROAS last year? 10, right? So which means in order to make 200,000, you need to be prepared to spend 20,000 per year. Now, divided down by 12 months, averagely, you need to spend how much? But before we decide that we want to spend equally, look back at your revenue last year and find out which months makes you more money and which months are weaker. Do your budget adjustment according to that and set different expectation on different months. So when you do that, you are actually giving yourself some really like room to breathe, basically, instead of like, like same, if you're actually distributing your budget equally, bad month also you invest so much, you're gonna feel burnout. And you'll be like, shit, Meta Ads is not working. But no, it's just bad month for your business. But you forgot about it, but because you're in it. You see, when we are running it, we are always in it. We want to step out to be able to look at the whole thing from the holistic point of view, to be able to zoom out, to look at the whole big picture, to not lose yourself. It's really that important. So make the right plan, set the right expectation, and then after that, week in, week out, build hypothesis, test, and repeat. So that's what I call meta ads optimization. Like I said, it's a process. It actually takes time to master this thing, but it's totally worth the effort and worth the exercise and the practice. Because first thing first, one thing I want you to remember, and we cannot deny, meta advertising in combining Facebook, Instagram, and the future threads and everything, we still have the highest quality audience on earth right now, one of the highest. I mean, we are not comparing to Google because Google is search intent. That's a really high intent audience. But when it comes to, like push advertising, Meta platform, as in Facebook, IG, threads combined, has the most mature audience and they are most ready to buy because I also help my client optimizing campaigns on TikTok. It's not there. So we still need to run ads, but how do we have a better plan or have a better mindset to run ads? That's really something that we need to acquire over time. That's the reason why I put up this Meta Ads Blueprint 2025 is because you should not and you must not run ads blindly with just a simple skeleton ad anymore. You need to build a strategy. And I want you to start thinking about optimization and start acquiring those necessary skills to make you better at meta advertisers. So with that, that wraps our meta advertising blueprint 2025. Thank you for riding this journey with me. And I hope you learned something useful. Remember, I believe if you buy at the right time, you should have a one-on-one session with me. Use that to discuss strategy. Use that to review your campaign performance. Try to build a strategy, run your ad for at least 7 days to 14 days and book the call. But you book the call first. Because you should have an expiry date for you to book the call. Otherwise, it will be forfeited because we do have a duration. I can't wait for you for a year, right? So make sure you book first and implement and come back to look at the data. Let's work together moving forward. With that, thank you so much and all the best.